that, which is to be expected when you transfer over the site. But for the most part, I think we got a lot of it in there. And that's it. That's it for me. Any
Yeah, I just
questions?
want to say it's gorgeous. So thanks for gorgeous and functional. Thanks for all your work there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for spending time with me on teaching me this stuff. And I'm slowly coming to it.
Uh, you're better than you think you are. So
All
stay
right.
confident. All right.
All
So,
right.
all right. Cool.
So
Thank you.
move on. Thank you, Joe. We'll move on to emergency preparedness. Roger, you have a project with PGE. Can you share an update with us?
Yeah, some of us met with the city of Lake Oswego representatives and one person from Portland General. I would say the city is taking us very seriously and doing a good job. They're working not only it's a citywide issue, obviously, plus cities surrounding, in fact, the whole service territory of Portland General. The city's coordinating with other cities around us, which is great. We've seen an uptick in tree trimming. If you look, been around, you've seen a lot more tree trimming. That will help. Portland General really was, in my opinion, was not very responsive. And other than the tree trimming, which is great, we're not going to see anything like undergrounding. There was no commitments or statements about that. No technology fixes. The tree trimming was about it. The other issue I raised was this is the opposite of a winter storm problem, but a summer issue if we have a red flag warning, which is my bigger concern. I did talk to the technical person in the wildfire management program at Portland General directly. This was outside the meeting. We are not currently in what's called the PSPS, or Public Safety Power Shutoff, which are being used in Oregon now, in different parts of Oregon. They've been used for years in California. But he said we could be in one if conditions change. And one of the conditions that we're looking at is why whole trees are starting to come over on a regular basis. And that's for ice in the winter or wind in a red flag warning. So I'm very pleased the city's going to keep on putting pressure on Portland General. That's where it needs to come from, and I'll just keep on working with the city. So I would say some response, but we're not going to see wholesale changes like undergrounding. It's just not practical in terms of cost or anything at this point.
I have a question. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, man.
I didn't expect them to underground because that sounds like a huge undertaking. But one concept that you presented, Roger, was that they would change the way I'm going to say circuitry works, where not everything not so many homes would be on one circuit. I'm probably not describing this well. Did
No,
you
yeah, that's exactly it, Nancy. There was a discussion. The person that was on the official meeting was from their government and public affairs, so not a technical person. The person I talked to technically, I'm going to actually follow up with a friend of mine that's an engineer and connect them and try and encourage them to pursue that. And just so you know, Nancy, it's called sectionalizing a circuit. So rather than losing 1,600 customers, if the tree goes down, you might lose everybody downstream of that tree, but everybody upstream, where if you think about power flowing from upstream to downstream, can be restored more quickly, as opposed to all 1,600 people out for days. And they know that is a solution. That those are not like as expensive as undergrounding, but they're expensive. They were actually doing some work over on South Shore, close to the fire station. I suspect that they were doing some of that already. It looked like they were installing a switch there, which is what that's what you do, is you install switches. So I haven't confirmed that, but it looked like that was what the crew that was installing it went and talked to me. So
well, we can hope, right?
Yeah, we need to improve things. Ultimately, I mean, if you look at what's happening down in Houston, the governor there is involved in the poor performance of the utility. Ultimately, you have to really make a stink. And I think that these multi-day outages that we're experiencing every few years are just they're not acceptable. And saying trees go over, well, yeah, trees go over, but there are things that can be done to improve it. We can't make outages go away, but they can improve it. And it costs money, but our bills are going up a lot. You already saw our bills went up 25% last year. We're scheduled for possibly another 7 or 8% increase. And those are not being driven by system maintenance issues. They're being driven by frankly, all the green programs that the state of Oregon is forcing Portland General to do, with a lot of renewables and things like that. And so we can put more money into the basic bread and butter of having decent, reliable service, in my opinion, without driving rates up too much. Thanks.
Thank you, Roger. Anybody have questions for Roger about that project?
Hey, Nancy, this is Rick Eilers. I was supposed to also be part of this group, and I see I'm not on the agenda. So,
well, emergency prep, right?
Yeah,
so
but I'm not on the agenda. But I was supposed to talk tonight, so
Oh, please do.
Now,
You're up now.
I think now's my time. But as soon as we're done with Roger, is there any other
No, we
questions?
are. I think you're good. Let's move to you now.
Wonderful. Okay, so the state of Oregon, the Oregon Department of Emergency Management has started a new program to get more people prepared within the state. And the program that they put together is called Be 2 Week Ready. So they've got a big bunch of cash, and they decided to print what they call toolkits. And see if you can see this here. So this is what they look like. And it's 90 pages.
Ooh.
Okay. And basically, everybody that wants to go through this program will get one of these kits. So they're being printed now. The city of Lake Oswego has put in a big order for these from Salem, and they're waiting for them to show up. September 5th is when the city is going to have their emergency preparedness fair at City Hall. And that's going to be their launch date for this program. So they should have all the booklets there for people to get started. But I sat in on one of the original meetings, and the program, if you've done any emergency preparedness on your own or with a group, this is so basic that we kind of went like, what's the use? I mean, it's kind of it's too basic. But after we kept talking about it and thinking about it, for anybody that has been spooked about preparing, this is a good, simple way to get them started, okay? Because once you start talking about an earthquake or something like that, everybody just, okay, that's too much for me, I'm okay, and they don't do anything. So this is an opportunity to get more people involved, and we have our fingers crossed that it's going to pick up some people. Okay. So anyhow, that's I think you can go on their website right now, Oregon Department of Emergency Management, and these documents are already on PDF. They're available PDF wise, so you can download them now. But I know the city is putting together a group of people that want to be presenters so they can be trained to show how to use this program. And then those presenters then can gather up people. They can be from 2 to 30, as long as they've got that toolkit, that 90-page document. And then people can start filling it out. Okay. And I think it's a total of there's 8 different sections, but I think you can get through those sections in about 5 or 6 hours. So you could have 2 meetings and cover the whole booklet. So it's a lot of the meetings would be more of a talk about what we learned, and everybody can share their experiences. And that's really what it's about. So anyhow, it could be a good program. We'll just have to see how it plays out. So that's it. That's what I got.
Carrie?
Yeah, so one thing did you guys see the newsletter this week or this for July? So in the meeting that we did kind of offline, Rick and Roger and Betsy and me, and I'm going to forget people who joined that meeting, but you guys pointed me to that. And I'm giving, per kind of like your request from that meeting, I'm giving you guys space, emergency preparedness, and we're using Be 2 Week Ready as kind of like the little tidbits to like slowly feed the community info. So
Excellent.
I did the first post just because it was like we had to get it. I didn't reach out for help, but I did the first post, and basically I'm taking every section and just doing like a summary of that section with the activity. So Rick or Roger, if you guys want to start reviewing that with me, I don't mind doing the writing and like getting it all together, but I really want another pair of eyes on it other than just me and Frederic. So can we connect about that?
Yeah, I jump in if you've got some notes or you want me to talk through it.
Did you see? Yeah. Did you see what I did for July?
I saw
When
the
you have a
heading
chance.
on it. I saw the heading, but I didn't
click
open
in.
it. Yeah.
Okay. So when you have a chance, look at it, and then you and I can maybe like circle back around on how to do each section.
Great.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate the update.
Welcome.
Next, land use. Chris Durkee is not here this evening. Meg will be speaking to land use. Thanks, Meg.
Sorry, seem to have a very scratchy nose for some reason. So we did hear from Ken on the Stafford project, and it seems like the feeling I'm getting is the condos are not going to be taking place, but it keeps changing as a movable target. So we've been asked to weigh in on a subdivision over in Westwood Neighborhood Association. It's borders right on Palisades, so they've asked us to attend one of their pre-application meetings. And then there's been another pre-application meeting for a house over on St. Clair. They had started building a tea house, and kind of a lot of miscommunication between them and the city. That area has an overlay so that they have a different. So anyway, so unfortunately they're not trying to figure out how they're going to go forward with their tea house, or if they're going to have to move it or just move the whole thing aside.
Where is St. Clair?
It's right where the tennis courts are, right across the high school.
Okay, over there. Got it.
And then it's just a little HOA in there.
Okay, gotcha.
And so then that's pretty much it.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Stevens Meadow, or I could cover that if you'd like?
According to Chris's notes, Nancy will address the grant application for receipt and staff.
I can do that. I just didn't want to.
I didn't have any information on it other than what I've heard from others.
So next is Parks and Rec and Stevens Meadow. Chris Durkee attended the mayor's meeting regarding Stevens Meadow and the potential to use 0.2 of an acre next to Childs Road for creating a roundabout for the county project that increases safety along Stafford Road. The county wants a 2-lane roundabout, meaning 2 lanes would go around. There'd be 1 lane on the interior and then what's called slip lanes on the exterior that allows you to turn right without going into the main lane. So there's a couple of obstacles. One is the deed between the Stevens family and the city says that if any part of Stevens Meadow is sold, then ownership reverts back to the Stevens family. So the Stevens family will have to approve any unconventional use of the property. They were at this meeting with the mayor, but it wasn't clear what their position is. They were there to learn. The other option on the table is to send it to a vote of the people in November to ask our residents, because taking that land, it goes against Chapter 10 or Chapter X, use of natural parks areas. And even with a majority, there's still the element of the Stevens family. So you would need both to be successful for the city and the county. You would need both the Stevens family to support it and a majority of Lake Oswego voters to agree that the county can take a bite out of our natural park, Stevens Meadows. Any questions about these facts so far? I have a little bit more to share. No? Okay. So there was a survey they sent to some of us, not all of us, some residents, asking us our opinion about the use of 0.2 of an acre and would we support it. Meg received it, I received it, maybe some of you received it. And they were basically trying to project whether they could win in November. So they were giving a piece of information and asking, would you support it with this information? Then they would add another layer of, what about this? What if it didn't come out of your taxes? What if the county paid for it? Then would you support it? So it kept building on what if, then would you support it?
The county sent this to you
I'm
guys?
sorry?
Was it the county who
The
sent
city
this
sent,
survey?
the city sent it.
Oh, okay. So the city of Lake Oswego sent this.
Yes, trying to
Okay.
anticipate, can they win this November election? And I was the receiver of it, and I think it was a very, very poorly crafted survey. It was more trying to persuade the audience to say yes to what they want to do than really ascertain their odds. And I was disappointed they didn't supply enough information. There was no diagram of here's what the land looks like and here's the chunk that would be taken. It didn't describe the 0.2 in relation to the total acreage of Stevens Meadows. So it didn't say, for example, hey, there's 5 acres, can we take 0.2 of it? That was not shared. So there's a lack of important information that any citizen would want to know to be able to say I'm in support or I'm not. So I don't know about other people, but I said I would need more information. I don't know. So I didn't really give them an indication because there wasn't enough clear data.
I
So
just regret that I didn't take screenshots of the questions because they were quite, a lot of them were quite leading, I thought.
yeah, they were very leading. So they were trying to sell at the same time they were trying to survey. So it was a little disappointing. That's my take. Do you want to add anything, Meg? Anything
No.
more? No.
No, it was kind of interesting. Have you heard any results of the survey? I don't know if
No.
that will go to where that will go.
No, I don't know. I wish I knew. It's weird that the two of us received it, but others didn't. I don't know who received them.
Yeah, and my sister also received one. So I think they probably just have a list of phone numbers.
Yeah. So anyhow, remains to be seen what will happen with that. But you do need both the Stevens family on board and a majority vote. The architect of Chapter X was at the meeting as well. Scott.
Hanley.
Thank you, Scott Henley. He was also there asking questions and also advising them on how the ballot measure should be written to be clear, that it would be specific to Stevens Meadows and not all natural parks and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
he was counseling them. So that's an update there. As far as Receipt Park, the skate park is open, as many of you have seen and noticed. There was a grant application sent in by Parks and Rec to the state to help fund the play equipment and picnic shelter. That has been submitted. There's a meeting at the end of the third week of July where there's a Zoom presentation to those at the state where we make a pitch for why we deserve to get that grant funding. It would be a 50% contribution. I don't know the amount. It's not of the whole project, but the city would have to match with another 50%. So, and the city has that. So we had a planning meeting this morning with Parks and Rec, including Chris Durkee, Kirsty Riley, and who am I missing? Was there anyone else there? Anyway, so that we can make our pitch. So we have a plan. We're going to do a short rehearsal a couple days before, and then we present them, I'll have the dates, on July 24th. So on the 22nd, we'll practice our skills of persuasion, and then on the 24th, we'll do the actual, it's about 10 minutes, so it's short. But the city says they believe that we have a good chance of winning that grant. Should be nice. The earliest they could start work would be the fall, depending on when the state responds to the grant request. Otherwise, it would be after the, winter, spring, wet season. Otherwise, it would be next year. So either they get it in the fall if we can. If not, it would be, after things dry out again next year. And what else? I think that's it. I have shared all the Parks and Rec updates on Basecamp, so if you want to read about that. One more thing I'll share at the Azalea Field event with Parks and Rec, they solicited from Lake Oswego citizens what we want from our Parks Department in Lake Oswego. And today when we were planning this grant project, I asked her, hey, across the 4 meetings you had across the city, what were the results from that? And she said number 1 was splash pads. Those are water play areas, for those of you that don't know, that kids could run through fountains of water. That was very popular. Natural areas, which is consistent with what P&A has been saying for a few years now, that we want natural areas, natural parks. Basically, as we become more dense and built out, that we need our green space to find our sense of peace. And then connectivity, pathways that children could take from their home to a local park that's safe, meaning not a white painted line, to John's point. Safe pathways, and also connecting pathways. So for the pathways that already exist, let's connect them so that if you wanted to go on a longer journey, you could safely. So one example is they want to connect Foothills and George Rogers. All the backyard residents have agreed except for one. So they're waiting for one property to turn over, meaning sell, and then the city will take their little cut in the backyard where they can create a pathway, but unknown time. That's an example, but in general, connecting pathways so that we have more ways to get around safely without taking our cars. That's it. Any questions?
I just want to say how impressed I am with land use and parks. You guys are bad to the bone. You go to every meeting. You put meeting minutes together. People are reading them in the newsletter. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's great. Glad to know people
Chris is the organized one.
Bill, you guys are great.
Okay. So closing comments from the chair. I'm not the chair. I don't have closing comments except to say you guys are awesome. This was a good meeting. We're finishing early, which doesn't always happen. So I'll open the floor to anyone who wants to add a little note or say a little thing before we sign off.
I have a couple things I need to cover. I need to cover the newsletter as well as the art signs. The newsletter, I think, is probably the one that I actually have information to give for Jenny to capture, but I'll also put it on Basecamp and then just newsletter in actually Basecamp as well. So is this a good time to do that, Nancy?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So over the course of a few months, I've taken over the newsletter, mostly just because I knew about Basecamp. Or, I'm sorry, I knew about MailChimp, so I was like, so I got the newsletter. And this month in particular, if you guys looked at the newsletter, it just looks different. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move all the content onto the website, because it's a great space. And then from the newsletter, just and push everybody into the website to read the content. And building these categories like land use and parks, traffic, events, emergency preparedness. So really building up what we're doing as in the themes that we all have committees for. So we're trying to create that, connecting everything. So if you haven't looked at it, definitely look at it and give me your feedback. But I'm just going to do a really quick overview of June and July. And Jenny, I'll put this on Basecamp so you don't have to capture this. But for June, that ran the entire month before July was sent, it goes out to 873 recipients. So that's a great number of subscribers. 602 opens and 149 clicks. So those aren't necessarily all unique clicks, but the majority of them are. And so the total number of opens is over 1,000. These are great numbers, you guys. So that was June. And then July, which only went out this Sunday, has already right in that same ballpark. Very similar numbers. So we'll probably see an uptick for July. We already have more opens with 619 for July. and over 1,000 total with all the different clicks. And I'm starting to dig in and just see what the most popular links are within the newsletter. And for June, the survey results were really popular. Was our number one click-through link, as well as the City of Lake Oswego's concerts. And then the Stafford meeting notes. That was number 3. So people are really looking at this and actually spending time on these pages. So kudos to you guys for gathering that info. And then I'll put it up there so you can see kind of the smaller number of clicks, but those were the majority of our clicks for June. But for July, again, I'm trying to create like the pathways in. So all news, which is recent news basically, was our number 1. But number 2 is our Charlie Buck.
Oh, good. That was a great
article.
That's great. I'll have to tell him since he's not here.
Yeah, Chris Durkee reached out to me, and he's like, that was such a great write-up. And I just was like, it wrote itself. I mean, this guy does everything. And then land use, though, after that was number 3. So people, 34% of the clicks went to land use in parks, and 27 unique head of the month was doctor. So again, my pirate plug. Again, I'll put this up on Basecamp and take a look. Roger and Rick, if you're still on here, I'm on my phone now, so I can't see who's still in, but I'll definitely reach out to you guys about the preparedness corner and just following that be 2 week ready. If you could at least look at what I'm writing just to make sure that it's good, that would be awesome. The one thing yeah, go ahead.
I have a question, maybe it's for next time. We've had our signs out for 2 months saying sign up for our newsletter. I'm curious who has the stats on whether that achieved anything.
Sign up for our newsletter.
We're capturing who's subscribing, so we can dig in and look at it.
So I'm just wondering if the signs made a difference. Was there an uptick in signing up for a newsletter?
Give me a second and we'll get you some stats.
Oh, it doesn't have to be now. It could be next time. I'm just curious if the signs are making a difference. I hope so.
There's some tracking codes in the sign in that QR code that allows us to actually see where the clicks are coming from, if they're coming from the signs or they're coming from other places.
Okay.
So yeah, we definitely have those stats.
Great.
Yeah, and the thing is like just kind of showing these overall numbers or talking about these overall numbers this meeting. Like next meeting, Joe and I can coordinate and be like, here is our present, because I think it is really important. Having the signs out, changing out the messaging, what's resonating. Even John today talking about how his messaging might need to be more black and white so people can see it while they're driving, opposed to people who are walking in neighborhoods can see like a more designy graphic information. So these are the things that we need to hear so we can take it to heart.
Okay.
I have a feeling, I mean, just how people drive in our own behavior, I think it's really hard for people to see a sign driving and take a message and remember to go home and do something. You know, I think where we're going to get the biggest traction is the pathways where people are walking and you can stop, take out their phone,
or near a stop sign, like mine's near a stop sign. So if you're at the stop sign, you can.
But you can't take out your phone. That's illegal. You know, you really can't do that driving. You have to keep your phone down, like for safety. So I'm just thinking, like, as we think about where we place it too, maybe it's like more in pedestrian places to test it to increase.
Right.
Maybe it's like more in pedestrian places to test it to increase. Right.
Yeah, well, that's a place
during the
where
school year, you have school bus stops
where parents are waiting.
Is
that what you're saying to pick up the kids? Yes.
That's a place where a school bus stop.
Yeah.
Where the parents are waiting. Is that what you're saying to pick up the kids? Yes.
So Kim Beeler's is always a good place to put signs
because
it's
Where
right
did you
above.
say?
Kim Beeler is a good place to put signs.
As well.
I didn't understand that.
Kim Beeler.
Oh, her.
Is a good place.
The corner of South Shore. Not everyone knows who she is. The corner of South Shore and Westview.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the Westview part. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Carrie?
Thank you, Carrie, for doing the signage. It's awesome. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
The
Thank you,
thanks.
Carrie, for doing
All right, everyone.
So hold on.
Oh, you still have,
Nancy,
there's
not
more.
yet.
But wait, there's more. Don't change
No,
channel.
there's more. So for Roger and Rick, we talked about doing some messaging on the yard signs for emergency preparedness. So if they're still here, again, I can't see it because I'm on my phone now, but Roger and Rick, we have one coming out next after National Night Out. That will be for wildfire preparedness. So everybody just keep that in mind. It's going to probably be laminated, if I can get to it, in a couple of weeks, and it will be dropped off at your houses, and it will be pushing people to the city information that they came out with regarding how to protect your home. Roger or Rick, have you seen that information that they put out at the city?
Yeah, Carrie, this is Roger. I did see it, and it's good basic information about how to, and I'd say that this National Night Out thing, it might, and I'll coordinate with you and Rick, and it'd be good to try and take advantage of those things to get common messaging out across the neighborhood, and leverage these resources the city's created, and Rick and historically has created so much stuff we just continue to leverage. My thing, a lot of this stuff is, and Rick mentioned this earlier, is not overwhelming people with too much or scaring them. It's just like, here's bite-sized chunks, and we discussed that, putting that in the newsletter. So, I'll work with you and Rick, and we'll figure out how we take these existing resources and make them digestible, so people don't get scared or intimidated.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. 2 visits to the site from the signs in the last 28 days. Okay.
Great. And the last thing is, if anybody needs help with base camp, I am available. I'm going to meet with Chris Durkee 101. We're just going to cruise through and kind of show him some things that he just wants to get more comfortable with. I'm happy to do that with anyone that is using base camp and might have questions. And does anybody have any feedback about base camp?
I think it's great. Love it compared to Trello.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Much better than Trello.
I think it's great. Cool. And the last thing I'm going to say, Nancy, chair of this meeting, before we go, is that I just wanted everybody to know that I was offered a volunteer position with the City of Lake Oswego's budgetary committee, and I accepted.
I saw that. It was in the paper.
Oh, it was?
Or a newsletter, paper, somewhere I saw. I read it.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah, so, protect the process. Like, I just feel like there should be an effort of people, like, protecting the process, making sure there is a process. So, I accepted, and I'm going to start in October kind of getting more orientated, but I had my first ethics training, and that was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rolling up your sleeves. Thank you.
I know. Oh, John has one more thing.
Awesome. Yeah. Rolling up your sleeves. Thank you.
I know. Oh, John has one more thing.
I just had a question if there's been any update on recruiting a secretary.
Oh.
I think we're just
I don't think there's plans to.
Well, I know.
I don't think there's plans to. We'll just share that burden.
Activity.
John's hoping someone comes on board before next. Remember, the minutes this time are brief. It's only action items, so it's very clear. You watch the video, you get the information. So just to reassure people, this is not detailed word by word what people are saying. It's action items and key items. That's it.
To reassure people, this is not detailed word by word what people are saying. It's action items and key items. That's it.
Understood. I'm just wondering if we're just starting to
well, no one wants to volunteer for secretary is what we learned, so we decided to share it across everyone.
The BNA.
Well, no one wants to volunteer for secretary is what we learned.
If I'm wrong and someone wants to raise
well, we have a treasurer.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
We have a very good treasurer.
The treasurer.
So.
If I'm wrong and someone wants to raise
John, stop walking on South Shore. Just go on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
There is no sidewalk there.
Stop walking on South Shore.
Yeah, there is none. You have a white line to protect you from death.
There is no sidewalk there.
Okay. All right, everyone. I'm going to let you get on with your evening. Take care.
That's right.
Have a
Thanks
good
for
one.
leading,
Stay
Nancy.
cool.
I'm a thrilled.
Great work, Nancy, by the way. Great work running the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's a great work running the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.